Hey, how you doing today? I am Tequila Coleman. In today's video, we're going to talk about prodigal judgment. So I want you to use this video to discern whether or not your spouse is going through their judgment. And here's the thing, when your spouse is going through their judgment, okay, after their judgment, that's when God releases your spouse to come and be with you, to marry you, okay? So if you think your prodigal is going through judgment, however, they are, after their judgment, they forgetting about you. They still entertaining these counterfeit. Your spouse isn't going through judgment, okay? So I want you all to really learn the difference between when your spouse come up under God's wrath and how that look, and when they are going through judgment, okay? Because judgment has everything to do with the fall. The fall is when God encounters that prodigal and slow them down in their track, okay? So I'm gonna use me as a good example. When I was a prodigal back in 2015, God asked me to share my story of being abandoned while pregnant and how He delivered me from depression and healed my heart in 30 days, right? But I told God no. I said, that's embarrassing. I'm not about to share this story. And I went on, I still would do my purpose, but I wouldn't share that testimony, right? Because I just felt like I was the only single mother who were abandoned while pregnant. And I was like, this is embarrassing. So I ran from that for 2 whole years. And it wasn't until 2017, one day I'm pushing the children in a two-seater stroller, and but it's hard for me to push my children in this stroller down the street. I'm running out of breath. I'm holding my chest. I'm like, oh my God, I can barely breathe. So I just sit down because I noticed whenever I would sit down, my chest would like release, you know, all that tightness will release, and I feel better. So I end up going to sleep that night only to wake up the next morning and I heard God say, go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. Now I want y'all to hear what I just said because I was a prodigal. And I heard God tell me to go to the hospital. So God speaks to prodigals while they are a prodigal. But I go to the hospital only for them to draw my blood and tell me that I have had several heart attacks. And so when they took me to the bag, they got all these doctors in the room trying to figure out why is this young lady having all these heart attacks. I knew why. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew exactly why. And I was waiting on these doctors to leave the room. And so when they left, I said, okay, Lord, let's talk. Let's negotiate. I said, I'll share the story. I'll share the testimony. I said, but I need you to save my life. And I felt like God said deal. And I told God, when you get me out of this hospital, because the doctor was talking about putting a stitch in my heart. Because what caused the heart attack was a hypothyroid that began to damage the heart. So I said, God, I said, if you can get me out of this hospital without them putting a stitch in my heart, I'm gonna share this testimony. I'm gonna serve you, and I'm gonna get back healthy. And so he got me out of that hospital. They didn't put no stench in my heart. And I really believe in 30 days, that next 30 days, I had my book written from depression to deliverance, how God healed my heart in 30 days. I was serious. Okay. That book can be found over on Amazon. But yeah, so the fall has to do with God encountering this prodigal, slowing him down. Okay. All that running man spirit, it slows down. It comes to a stop. Think about Jonah. God caused the fall with Jonah when he swallowed him up in that well, right? Everything stopped. Think about Saul in the New Testament. He was persecuting God's children until God encountered him and said, he was like, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? He hit Saul with blindness, knocked him right on down to the ground. So the fall has to do with when God encounters your prodigal and slow them down. I don't know. It could look different for everyone. In my case, it was sickness. It was a heart attack. It might be in others. I don't know. It might be them going to jail, or it might be them getting exposed, or it might be losing finances. I don't know. But a fall will happen when your prodigal come up under judgment. And then in this fall, they know it's the Lord, but that fall is now moving your prodigal to true repentance. See, all this time when your prodigal was up under God's wrath, they probably would cry out to the Lord here and there and say, okay, God, okay, I'll change, help me. And when God send a little relief, then they go right back into their sinful ways. But this time, when they come up under judgment, And when God, encounters them in a way where they fall, where He slows them down, now true repentance is coming upon this prodigal, because this is a near-death experience when that fall encounters the prodigal. This is where you are calling out for the Lord. Okay, this is where you like, okay, like save my life, Lord, just like how I was in the hospital, begging God to save my life, in exchange that I would go ahead and share my testimony. So true repentance come upon prodigals when they come up under their judgment, when they go through their judgment. Okay. Also, because they are truly repentant now the spirit of truth come upon prodigal. The spirit of truth only come upon an individual when you are ready to receive truth. Okay. So God revealed, when God put on them the spirit of truth, and that spirit of truth is the very thing that's helping this prodigal to come back into their right mind. It's helping them to come back into their senses. Is the spirit of truth is now is judging their heart and their way, right? It's like accountability, God holding them accountable for their actions. So the spirit of truth is revealing to them the error of their ways. The spirit of truth is now revealing to your prodigal all the ways how they have hurt you and misjudged you and mistreated you throughout this whole process, right? And so this spirit of truth, is going to move your spouse into feeling very remorseful. They're going to be sorry for how they treated you. They're going to, be just sorry for everything, all the things they put you through. Okay. Um, and again, these are the signs that let you know your prodigal is going through judgment, because God will begin to tell you, your spouse, he or she is remorseful. He or she, is now reaping what they sow. He or she is now, regretting everything in the past. They wish they could get a new start with you and do things, the right way this time, because now their eyes are open. Now they are back in their right mind. That reprobate mind goes away, and they come back to their senses. Remember the prodigal son. Once he lost all his money and he became in need, he hurried up and came right back to his senses. He hurried up and realized, I had it better at home with my father. He began to rehearse his apology. He began to rehearse what he was going to say to his father, because he realized he sinned against God and his father. Okay. And so that's what's going on with prodigals when they go through judgment. They come back into their senses. They realize they wronged you. They begin to rehearse their apology, and then they will return. Okay. Other things that will happen during prodigal judgment is that hidden things are now being revealed to your prodigal. I made a video about this, about the hidden things in stage 8. But hidden things are now being revealed to your prodigal that they didn't know. Okay. So hidden enemies are now being revealed. Okay. More truth is being revealed to your spouse that he or she didn't know concerning the love story. Okay. Another thing that's going on in prodigal judgment is that Pharaoh, whoever the Pharaoh is in your love story, is that Pharaoh will let God's children go. So you don't have to worry if you're dealing with a Pharaoh in that Pharaoh spirit. If you're dealing with a Pharaoh spirit in your love story, and it's refusing to let go of your spouse, oh, it's going to let go of your spouse when your spouse comes up under God's judgment. Okay. It is God who removes that Pharaoh spirit. Okay. It's God. All right. So don't even, feel like your prayer's not working. Don't kill yourself in fasting. It's God who removes the Pharaoh spirit. Okay. And you just gotta allow God, to work however way He chooses to work in your love story. Okay. But these are just some signs you can begin to look for to let you know that your prodigal is going through judgment. Yes, they will also lose things while they are in judgment. Judgment, when you think about judgment, think about you reap what you sow. So the same hurt and pain your prodigal put you through, they are going to feel it now. Okay. If they rejected you for a counterfeit, they will be rejected for a counterfeit. If they betrayed you for the enemy, they will be betrayed by the enemy. This is reap what you sow. Okay. So understand your prodigal all throughout the stand, your prodigal not getting away with anything. God remembers everything. Okay. And God will bring everything into account when it's time for your prodigal to be judged. Okay. Because this is how, let me say this last thing. Because God, before your prodigal come up under God's judgment, God is going to bring this whole entire love story. up under judgment. Okay, and he's going to look to see who is right, and who, was wrong in this. And if it turned out to be both spouses were wrong, y'all responded wrong to this love story, then both would come up under judgment. But if it's just the prodigal who responded wrong, they failed their test all throughout this stand, then they're gonna have to give an account for their actions. Okay. So understand those are some signs you begin to look for. And like how I said, when your spouse is done going through their judgment and God released them, they coming back to you. This is how you know your spouse, went through their judgment because they returned back home to you. The prodigal son returned back home to the father. When God commanded the whale to vomit Jonah out, he got out that whale, and then he went the opposite direction towards his purpose, Nivea. Okay, so understand the difference. Okay, so with that, I am Tequila Coleman. I'll talk to you real soon. Take care.